What are your aspirations for life? What you got going on?
For life, well,
What can you share with the world?
well, continue to try to enjoy every day. Be good to others. Do what your heart, follow your heart. Things will fall into place. Just try to spread good cheer, good vibes to people. Try to.
I like that. I think you're doing that right now. Keeping the smile up. And this is going to go out there. It might work.
Try to do it. You can't do it every day. Sometimes you feel up to it, but do what you can, and it's just follow your heart really. Things tend to fall into place if you feel confident with yourself, feel secure, and if you're not, I don't know, just that's about it.
Where does humility fit in there? We have a theme. Why be humble?
Why be humble? Why be humble? Well, you look at people that are humble. You don't want to be like them.
Can you describe what they're like? Or?
Well, a bit pompous, maybe you might say. You don't want to. The last thing you want to do is listen to someone just brag about themselves and go off. It gets a bit old, don't you think?
It's a possibility. Yeah, the opposite of it. How does a humble person deal with someone who's not humble?
Well, you got to have the inner strength, the confidence to know that not everybody's gonna. You have your friends too that side with you, because if one person's an overbearing personality, then you can kind of gang up on that one person, and beat them by numbers, I guess, and
The humble will gang up on all the rest.
Well,
we have the numbers.
Well, I'm thinking of some people that aren't so humble, and it's just people. You're tired of hearing a certain person talk about something in particular, how great they are, and they do this or that, and it tends to grow old after a while.
Do you think it's possible that someone could be great at being humble? As their claim fame? We're rolling.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about what happened today when I listened to Rush Limbaugh, which I don't usually do. You ever listen to him?
I did a few times. It was enough for a lifetime.
I understand. Well, he has this propensity or this capacity to irritate people, and I call it getting people into their prejudice, which is prejudging, sensing that it's right before you even listen. But what he was saying was he was talking about the Promise Keepers March in Washington, D.C., and how the National Organization of Women and a few other people were protesting it. And there was a caller, and I heard the caller talk about what it was like to be in the march, and it sounded like a very reverent and respectful and honorable event, where, as you probably said, mostly white men, who Christians were trying to espouse their belief in family values and keeping their promises to women and all of that stuff.
I said it was an assumption.
Yes. I don't know that it was mostly white, but it probably was.
I don't necessarily think I have the time to find out, but maybe I will make the time.
But the issue is, in my mind, about relationships between men and women. And then I had an interesting experience in my van today. A copy of the New Testament fell out of nowhere. It actually came out of one of my bags, and the knapsack fell out of the bed, and I picked it up and I opened it up to 1 Timothy, and I was reading about how it says women should not speak in the church, and the reasoning being that women were what led men astray, according to the Bible, with the Garden of Eden, and the woman got the apple or whatever it was from the devil or Satan, and therefore she led man astray, so she should shut up. It's the basic idea. It didn't say shut up, but she should not speak in the church, she should listen. And I thought, well, interesting, huh? So, what do you think of that?
The best knowledge that I have on that subject is what's known as difference between exoteric and esoteric philosophies. The basis of organized religion is exoteric. In other words, they would take spiritual writings, scriptures which are inspired or containing many levels of thinking, and they go with the meaning which is most external or most simplified and physical. And so when they look at the Genesis story with the two people, they say, well, that's a man, some individual, Adam, and some woman, some individual, Eve. And therefore they base all of their these rules they have to follow on that interpretation. But in an esoteric way, it will say this: Adam is a collective understanding of the human race, as in the masculine side that each individual has, no matter what they are, a man or a woman. And Eve is this other collective of the feminine. In other words, I'm made up of masculine and feminine, so I have the legacy of Adam and Eve in me, and I don't have to see that in a woman. I don't have to say, okay, the woman is Eve. I can see that Eve is within me. I tend to go with the esoteric because it seems to be a broader wisdom. It seems to have more consciousness.
But there is
to it.
male and female in a biological sense. It's not simply an illusion.
Yes.
There are substantial differences between men and women. Women do bear children, men do not. For example.
Okay, well, ask any of the people that have an esoteric understanding. And this is where you will stump most people. It does stump me even.
What do you mean?
The man has nipples, okay?
Right.
What's that all about? Has anyone prayed to God about this or asked? I mean, but it's got to link in with that story of Adam and Eve. What I'm trying to say is that we all have that within us, and even there's some things like that. Granted, most males cannot have a baby.
I don't know any that can.
I think a few of them
I
might.
have
They're
never heard of
keeping
one.
it a secret. I mean, if you take their pants off, you got to go.
I did.
Do you want to get in on
What are you doing?
We're talking, well, he brought up...
Family values, promise keepers, Rush Limbaugh.
Family values, huh?
Russia. Well,
Yeah.
I-
Rush Limbaugh was talking about the promise keepers today, and I said I'd like to talk about the family values. You're in front of the camera.
Oh,
Yeah, you can sit down here if you
Oh,
want.
sorry.
Get in the picture.
yeah,
there's always room for another voice.
yeah.
Don't know how to...
I was going on a little bit of a tangent there that I don't know could produce anything, but just to open up to more people that they don't know it all, and the interpretation is not, you know,
Well,
it's
I
not
don't
so
know.
clear.
Take the GOP, the right wing.
Review.
Promise
Rush
keepers.
Limbaugh, and the topic of his was Promise Keepers. Did you hear of the group?
No, no.
It's mostly a Christian group of men who vow to keep their promises, especially to women in regard to marriage and family and staying together. That's my understanding of it.
Yeah, so what does that mean? I don't
Well,
know.
then you got on the other issue of the basis of their philosophy being an understanding of Genesis, Adam and Eve. He said that in the New Testament
In
and
First
other
Timothy
places in there says women cannot speak out in the congregation
in the church.
because you lean back to the fact that Eve led everyone, led the man astray.
Eve led man astray. in the
Adam
Garden of Eden.
astray.
Adam astray.
Did Rush go into that?
No,
Yeah.
I got into that.
Okay.
I'm
And-
saying, yeah.
Well, what do you think of promise keepers, or the idea that men should keep their promises to women?
Oh, jeez. I'm not a fan of Rush Limbaugh. I'm sure you're not either. But I don't, follow much of what he says at all. I think he's a big bullshit artist, big bag of wind, really. But
Well,
the promise keepers, I don't know much. Men should keep their promises to women. Yeah, but women should keep their promises to men too. I don't know. What do we?
Okay.
It is a gender dividing thing, and that's the reason why I didn't really want to publicize the theme. I want this to move somewhere else, which has more substance to it. I think Rush tends to divide things. He'll get on one side, and it's like, to me, that's not very worthwhile to stay in that.
Well, what is the consensus view? I mean, let's look at some facts here. Over half of the marriages end in divorce, right?
Is it over half now?
It's over half.
Yeah, there's an ongoing increase, I think, in divorce.
Yeah. So
I don't know whether it's
marriage is not
stabilized or what.
working. I mean, we don't have to talk about Rush in order to talk about marriage. Right?
What's an institution that was set up a long time
No,
ago?
not at all. Let's go into divorce.
Yeah, let's talk about divorce and marriage and family life.
Institution,
Family
Well,
values.
yeah, like I said, it was an institution set up a long time ago when people lived like shorter lives, and they lived into their 40s or whatever. Now they're living into their 70s and 80s. And people are constantly changing. It's just there's too much out there to just turn it aside and say, hey, I got to turn my shoulder on this or that. It's just
Well, why isn't it working? I mean, what's going wrong?
we're just what's going wrong with people. It's we're just developing more. I think we're just living longer.
Self-centered, perhaps?
Seeing more. We see the world more now than with TV and media. Before people lived in their own. You live in your own communities, for your whole life, living like a
Or you
certain.
could live in a very small geographical
Yeah,
area
exactly.
your entire life. Now we move a lot.
Now you turn the TV, you see halfway across the world, and blink of a.
Go on the internet, so people all over the world.
Go on the internet, exactly.
So
Exactly.
the idea of staying home with your wife or your husband, your kids, is not as appealing since there's so many more options available.
I think so. Yeah, there's more temptation. There's more like when things start to get rough, maybe it's easier to drift.
Maybe there's something else to this, the desire-oriented economy, in the sense that we have been very much conditioned to say, what do I want today? Rather than what do I need to do today, which is a very different question.
What do I want to do?
Yes, let's fill my desires. What are my desires? Everywhere you go, it's about desire. Yes. You probably have a job that's about desire, in terms of getting people to desire what you're selling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ads you see, buy this product, buy that product, come on in, wear the nice clothes, do whatever, live in a nice home, drive a nice car.
Have a nice vacation.
Have a nice vacation. That's what I try to entice people on.
But whether or not they need it.
They may not need it, but
You need it.
it's always nice to go on vacation.
You ever call up and
I
say,
need it, yeah.
you need the commission sale?
I need to make a commission here, so
Buy
whether or
it,
not
yeah.
you need a vacation, I want to sell you one. And there it is. There it is.
No, I don't.
That's the
Everybody
desire-based
does that to some
economy.
extent, you know.
We have been conditioned to think that we should follow our desires. Whereas I think what the Promise Keepers are getting to, and maybe they're not getting to it very effectively, but what they're getting to is that you should do what's right, regardless of whether you want to do it or not. Keep your promise because it's the right thing to
It's
do.
the right thing to do.
Right, all religion tends to have that basic cause in it.
And-
Some body of people that are supposedly more learned going to say what's right for everybody else.
Well,
That's
that-
religion.
That's not necessarily...
And government. There's not much of a difference between them. It's just they call themselves different.
Well, they have different modalities of operation. And government, for
They are
example, has
interchangeable.
elections, whereas religion oftentimes has an authoritative source, such as the Bible. And so they say, we're going to base our things on this, whereas in government you base it on the Constitution and law.
Okay, are you going with the American point of view?
Well, most governments have constitutions and laws.
I'm saying take a broad view all through history of governments and churches, governments and religions, and you'll see that they're both operating from the same basic mentality of authoritarianism and the same basic hierarchy concept. They just kind of fluctuate.
I think I missed the point here. My point was about a desire-based
Well, they're trying to
civilization
say what's right.
as
and-
opposed to a need-based civilization. What do you need to do for the sake of keeping the family together, and what do you want to do today? These are two very different questions. I want to go have sex with a neighbor because she's attractive, or whatever. Do I need to do this in order to keep the family together? No!
Obviously
Wait a
not.
second, what do you mean
That would be
you don't need
detrimental to the family. I would imagine.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
also
In other words, you're not keeping your promise to your woman by saying, I'm going to, you're my only one,
I think
by going out and having
I
another
think
one.
because we came, it used to be like more of like humans just wanted to survive and just get by and just try to live okay, and now it's just like we're far beyond that. We're just
We want everything.
we just want the world.
We want everything.
Yeah,
We want
we're
all.
far beyond mere survival and mere getting by day to day. We're going for it. We want the world, and
I
we're
just
competing
want
against each
little-
other. We're competing against each other. That's like the big thing.
Yeah, we
I
are.
think. I find it in work competing against the guy next to me. Who's going to set up more appointments?
really.
Yeah. It's,
And is this a good feeling?
And the biggest seller in your office
Not
gets
really.
a bonus.
Yeah, it gets the bonus. Yeah, gets
Gets
the
more.
cash reward.
Yeah.
And gets it in front of other people. Like, oh, you did. Here you go. And it's like,
Business.
it creates tensions. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of it's not the greatest.
So what I sensed in the Promise Keepers, I'm not finished with Promise Keepers. It is a phenomenon in our society. There are tens of thousands of men who feel very strongly about this.
Well, let me ask you something. Are you going to these Promise Keeper events?
I haven't gone to one, but I may want to go.
Maybe you should, and bring the camera, and then we'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it. Because we're dealing with three people here who have never been to one, and we're going from the outside. And
Well, at the same time, I'm feeling like you want to close the discussion, and I want to open the discussion.
totally,
So
I want to close the discussion.
I want to open the
I'm
discussion.
entitled to that.
Yeah, you're entitled to that. However, I want to open the discussion.
All right,
Next
what are we doing?
subject.
All right, go
I'm not
ahead.
done with it, and
Go ahead.
I want you to take the liberty to discuss my feelings on it, and if you don't have anything to say, you don't have to say anything.
Okay.
Okay, but I have feelings
When
on
I'm going
it.
to have a topic, I'll pick up when
You can pick up the next topic and have your topic, all right?
So, what do you think about the Promise Keepers then? And new,
I think it's a phenomenon in our society.
or I mean, not New Rush.
And it
Same
has,
thing.
well, Rush is really not the point. I mean, Rush was the one who brought it as an issue
He brought it
into
into
my
media.
mind. Okay. I hadn't thought about it very much until I listened to Rush. So for that, I thank Rush. Okay, whether I agree with Rush is really not the point. The point is he brought it to my attention, and now I'm talking about it, thinking about it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what I'm thinking is that, first of all, I've heard about them several times, and I've thought about them several times, and I recognize it's a phenomenon in our society. And it has to do with the family and the breakup of the family. It has to do with Christianity and people wanting to keep their vows before God. Okay. Now, whether or not you're a Christian, whether or not you believe in all that, I think, in my opinion, the idea of a commitment is this or I die. That's what I wanted to say. It's like if you make a commitment, any kind of commitment at all, whether it's a commitment to become a priest or a commitment to marry somebody for life or whatever, you do that or you die. There's no other option. That's a commitment.
That's too extreme.
That's a commitment.
Yeah.
If you have, and we have 3, 4, 6, 10, 12 commitments, it doesn't work. You got your commitment to your job, you got your commitment to your religion, you got your commitment to your wife, you got your commitment here and there and here and there, and these commitments start conflicting. And after a while you go, well, I don't know, I think I'll just choose this one today, or maybe I'll choose that one. And it's like, these aren't commitments, these are choices. Commitment is you do it, and you don't let anything stand in your way. And that's the emphasis I'm feeling, the energy I'm feeling behind the Promise Keepers is, you made a promise, keep your promise. That's what I want to
Give you
say.
a good, dutiful
They should.
kiss. Yeah.
It's like, what is marriage if you go and you say, oh yeah, I'll marry you for the rest of my life, and then, 3 years later, I don't like you anymore. Yeah, what is this?
Well,
That's
it's easy. It's
Another
kind
life
of
of
easy
a
to
human
say.
being, man.
It's
I
easier
don't
to say
know.
when you haven't been married.
I haven't been married.
It's easier for to be on the outside and say to them, well, keep your promise. But see, they may have been in a different state of mind, less mature, less aware, when they made that promise.
That's true.
And then they realize, like, the typical clause there, oh, I married the wrong person because we don't get along. I don't love them. And then the other person will step in and just say, like, you do, you promise, just stop thinking that you don't. And then it's their choice. Okay, I've either got to get out of Christianity and get divorced, which a lot of people do. A lot of people dropping out of religion so they can avoid the rules. Because when they were young, they were naive. They thought, well, I have to follow the rules. I have to be in a religion. But there's all this liberation and new spirituality and discovering the self with, you know,
Well,
openness and
self-centered spirituality, hello. Self-centered spirituality, that's what's destroying the family in a sense. It's like, I'm going to grow myself. You don't fit anymore, goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, what is
Well,
that?
it's happening in
I don't
both
know.
ways. People
You know what I'm talking about, Dan?
challenged to stay or challenged to leave.
Yeah, I mean, part of a good point. I mean, it's hard to go against what you say. It's like, oh, I made that commitment a couple of years ago, but now I feel completely
I've
different
grown
about it.
since then.
Yeah.
We're aware now, so I don't need to keep that commitment. So, what kind of commitment is that?
Well, can we agree that people who have promised to be married, if they want to stick with that, no matter how difficult it is, let them stay married. But let's recommend from now on, for people who are younger and who have not got married yet, have them really consider it for a long, long time and take a look at who's out there. So then when they do get married, if they do, they will stay.
Well, sometimes, I think probably a lot of times, people get married because they got pregnant.
Yes.
There's a child
I hear
coming into
that.
the world, and it's the
Uh-huh.
right thing to do to
Yeah.
get married, and so we do this. Not so much that I really love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but we did it, and we have a kid, and it's the right thing to do, so
It's
we're going to get
right.
married. Okay.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
happens a lot, right?
It's happened since the beginning of...
Okay. There's a promise
Right.
there, and the purpose of the promise is to keep the family together and provide a stable environment for the child, right?
Right.
Yes, yeah, I believe in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some functionality to this promise. It's not just an ethereal concept that somebody whipped up. It has to do with the kids. And I see
Yeah.
kids all over this town who have no father, no active father.
Yeah.
And I think that again, is what the Promise Keepers are addressing as an issue in society.
Sure, that's another thing I think people should really seriously consider, especially when they're having sex, for crying out loud. And I'm paying the price
Well,
for
you're,
it myself.
you're a father.
I tell you from first-hand experience, and that's, before you go out and have sex, make sure you really deal with contraception. And there's like the big thing, hey, what about the religion saying that you shouldn't have contraception and you shouldn't have abortion? There's all these things tie in, you really, if you're going to be
Well, let's
sexually
talk
active.
about that. How does it fit in with Promise
Sexually active. Well, I think that their bottom line with young people who are not married, it's abstinence. When you get married, then you can have sex. But look at the problem. All these people that are worming their way out of religion and out of their marriages, when they got married, they couldn't wait to have sex. So they got married to have sex. Then they wanted to get divorced when they found out that whole chain of events is not reasonable for any person to go through.
Well, it comes down to, in my thinking, it comes down to a common theme of do what you want. You want to have sex, you have sex. You want to get married, you get married. You want to get divorced, you get divorced. You do what you want.
Should people be
That's the way
allowed
it
to
is.
do what they want like this?
Well, it's not a question of whether they should be allowed to do what they want. It's a question of whether they should focus on doing what they want, or whether they should focus on doing something else. Which is what's right,
good for...
what's necessary, what's right, however you want to look at it. So,
But then if you don't do what's right for you, and then you're like in a situation where you don't want to be in, and you're not contributing positively to that situation, then it just like, I don't know, dies out.
have you ever been married?
No, I
No, I
haven't.
haven't either. You're the only one.
Not this lifetime, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I've had a few.
A few lifetimes or a few marriages?
Both. A few lifetimes over a few marriages over a few lifetimes.
Well, I feel I beat this issue hard enough. It's your turn.
Well, I think Dan
Get the picture, yeah.
hasn't spoken his piece all together here.
If you want to say something, go for it.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I think, I mean, like I said before, it's an everyone changing world where things aren't anything nearly the same as they used to be. Like, I mean, you can only imagine what life was like back 1,000 years ago, and that's how the rules got started. But then they change, people stop dying when they're 25, 30. They get older, 45, 50, brain expands.
We have a lot of commuting. We have a lot
Brain
of travel.
expands quicker now with technology and with how much knowledge we can get our hands on.
Yeah.
Back in the old times, when they set those rules, they wouldn't allow people to get knowledge. Let them stay.
Knowledge is
dumb.
definitely
dumb.
increased in a phenomenal way, even in
We're-
my lifetime. It's
We're
increased
more
a lot.
aware of
It's
what
still
we want.
done, but not as openly, like not as like it's still like people.
We're not as
Higher authorities want
ignorant.
to see people. They want to see people dumb.
We're not as
To
ignorant
do
as we
like
used
the
to be.
jobs. Smart people don't want to do certain jobs. Like like they have to be done.
The rule makers
But they're
were
more
smart.
slick,
Keep
yeah.
everyone else dumb. Then we can make the rules. And for a time, that works. And all of a sudden, you have a population on the earth that's smart in a way.
But then when
More so
everyone's
than
too
you have-
smart, maybe it creates a problem for like balance of power.
For a while, it does. They start breaking more rules, but then you've got to question, are these rules really good anymore?
we have this trend towards individual sovereignty, I call it, which is the individual is the supreme authority in their life, and that's very
In
opposed
America.
to the
Especially in America. Yeah.
especially in America. We
Yeah.
have this idea
So
that
what?
you are the one
Yeah.
you are the one who's going to decide everything in your life, and you should have the freedom to decide everything in your life. Individualism, rugged individualism, whatever. I mean, it goes way back in American culture, but also in the current contemporary spiritual milieu, we have a lot of ideas out there that say there is no absolute right and wrong.
Nice.
It's all relative to your perspective. And da-di-da, you're the center of the universe.
Excuse me, I'm
That's
the center
America.
of the sitting here, but
Is that what it
That's
is?
America for you. That's a good part of it. With a new world.
Where do you want to go today? Microsoft asks in its commercials on television.
Where do you want to go today, huh? Punch up a few buttons.
is that a question we should answer here? Or? I want to go to the center of my soul. That's where eternity is.
So you want to go to eternity.
Well, yeah, from there, and then I can do something for others, you know?
You can do something for others without going there.
And I can do something better if I go to the center of eternity.
How do you know?
Well, I'll have lasting effects to the things I do then, instead of like doing something and then, you know?
Maybe
I like to
everything
do
has
things for
lasting
posterity.
effects.
I don't think so. I think that there is a sense of like what's more efficient and what's good or bad. Sometimes people do things, but they're acting out of what they know, what they were taught when they were, you know, in college or
Program.
something.
My
But
programming
I don't
says
want to trust
program,
any
yeah.
of that. I want to go to the center. I want to go
right to the source.
right to the source where it's clear and pure.
Good
If
water.
such a thing exists. Some people say it doesn't
How do you get-
exist.
how do you
but I
get
think I can get there. Oh, there's all kinds of things that they concocted. Meditation, denial of the self. It's like, don't always go after what you want.
Yeah.
What about what we all
What's best for everyone?
need? You know, and
Which is a different question than what do you want?
What's best for the whole?
What's
what
best
do
for
we
the
all?
whole?
What do we all need? I think in eternity, what do we all need is that we all respect
Respect is
other's-
necessary for the whole.
life journey. We're all seeking to have experiences, and maybe good experiences, and preferred over bad. So I think that they have a good point. The people that are getting divorced, I think some of them are not trying hard enough, but I think most of them, when they were young, were forced into rules that they really shouldn't have followed. I think that's
And expectations.
Yeah.
just
This is the way
just-
it is.
We expect you to do this, and we expect you to do that, and da-da-da.
Mm.
And I say expectation is the stuff of evil.
And what's wrong with you? You know, you're getting divorced. Why are you getting divorced? We never got divorced.
But then that's the other
Says-
side of Promise Keepers,
What's the matter
is,
with you?
is expectation.
I wouldn't say that.
Because there's this expectation that you will stay by your promise, and you will do it, come hell or high water.
Because you're letting down other people.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Expectations have always given me a problem in the sense that I don't like the idea of expecting. It doesn't feel good. It's a heavy feeling. I expect you to be there at 5 o'clock, young man. You know, it's like, what am I doing? Putting a trip on you?
I expected you to do this. I expected you to complete this when you sail. So.
I expect. And it's all like dumping your junk on somebody.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Controlling them. You know.
Yeah, it's a way to head trip on my thought is.
In a non-violent way.
Yeah, so, you know, are the
Yeah.
Promise Keepers into expectation? I mean, it sounds almost like that they expect themselves to keep their promises.
I really recommend
Yeah,
that
but-
they, you know, can do a good job of it.
Yeah,
But I don't think that that's for everybody. You know, I think that that's the group that's found that the traditional rules are worth reestablishing. I think it's going to make them feel good. I think that's their path. I think they need that because if they decide so. But I'm not going to have anyone that knocking on my door or coming to me and saying, you are going to be a promise keeper now. And I'm going to be like,
No, I'm not.
no, I'm going to say,
America,
thank
no,
you for
not.
doing what you're doing. Great, you know, and cheer yourselves on. But I'm going to be cheering on the other part of the population that has decided to do something else.
Yeah.
What is that?
We can all live together like Rodney King.
Can't we all get along?
It's
he feels
their
better
path
after
to
that
power. And
He got a couple $1 million.
I hope he's healed.
It's their path to power. They want to control other people, man. It's obvious. That's what they want to do. They want to control other people and say, oh, aren't you as good morally as we are? It's like, they're not so good morally.
Yeah, he's got a good point
They're
there.
not.
What is this, the new Nazi regime, Third Reich coming out?
It's like,
You know, I got to consider it that way because there's a little bit of a step toward that direction. That's what we found in history that's what that can lead to.
Well, Louis Farrakhan had a march a while
There is
back.
another step toward that damn regime type thing.
And he had a bunch of black guys come down there, and it was
Million
black
Man
men.
March, yeah.
Quite a few of them, and I was excluded. So I did not. That's another thing. If you want to bring that up, we can.
Yes, let's bring it up, since I did.
I prefer not to publicize these things, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, you're the editor of the tape, so you cut what you want.
No, I think we can go with it, but I think I'd like to keep that in there. That disclaimer.
Closer, Dave.
I like to keep that disclaimer in there.
It's a very tight shot.
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
Okay, the disclaimer is you didn't want to get into this. But we're talking race now.
Go ahead.
And Louis Farrakhan's Million Man March, which was about a year ago, right?
It was 95, wasn't the first one?
I don't know. Was it?
And then there was another one.
It was.
Yeah.
I thought it was last year.
They made a movie, Get on the Bus.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it yet. But I know that's going around.
And what's
publicizing
his
that.
movement about? What's he?
I think it's the same basic philosophy as the Promise Keepers. One came before the other, I
Which
believe.
is saying that men
Million
should
Man March.
do more than they've been doing. Men haven't been doing the right things, or what?
Well, as we all know, that the media keeps putting out that black people have more of a problem because they're the underdog. They're coming up in society as a result of being kept down by slavery in the beginning. Now, as they're coming up, they have this challenge to become more like white people have carried themselves. Their structure of nuclear family and government, and African American people want to get more into government and be in a more responsible section of society. I think it's the same basic philosophy, calling black people, black men, to keep their social integrity, keeping their promises. It's exclusive, though. And the point is, like, so black people have this solidarity. Because they have a unique situation. You know, white people never had to deal with slavery like that in America.
Well, what is the common theme here, then, between the two rallies, the Promise Keepers and the Louis Farrakhan rallies? I mean, it seems like there's some kind of commonality going on here.
Organized religion is the commonality.
Well, then the Muslims on the one hand with the Louis Farrakhan and the Christians on the other with the Promise Keepers. Is that it?
Is there any way we can trick them and send out the info, like, hey, we're going to have an event, tell them, we'll meet in Washington on such and such a date, and tell the other ones the same date, have them meet there at the same time, and they get a mixed crowd. Then all of them be like, what's going on? You know, like, this is Promise Keepers. Like, no, this is Nation of Islam. Have them all get there together. You know?
Let's have an all-together rally.
Let's see what they do what's best for the whole then.
You can only get
Let's
that.
do what's best for them.
The best for the whole rally?
Yeah. Let's do what's, like the Nation of Farrakhan. Let's do what's best for the Promise Keepers. And, well, the Promise Keepers do what's best,
Well, I think there's some substantial issues underneath all of this. I don't think this is just a fad or some kind of fluke. I really think there's some substantial spiritual issues, social issues underlying these movements. And that the people who are in the movements actually want to do the right thing. And we shouldn't just discount it so flippantly and say it doesn't matter. It's just like a bunch of people going off in their religion. Yeah, maybe there is a bunch of people going off in their religion in these crowds, but there's also something else here. That's what I feel.
I think Farrakhan's got a good. I think he's a little drastic in what he does, but I think his motivation is good. He's trying to, get the, like they have their problems, like anyone does. But he's trying to get them to, the fathers to be more like fathers.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest problems of any, when any society crumbles, like the lack of the father. Because
Right.
a lot of them are in jail,
Yes.
because of certain laws or whatever.
Or they're deadbeat dads.
So the deadbeat
The
dads.
ethical injustice of the laws, the application of the laws is very obvious.
Laws are slanted in favor of the women when it comes to custody and things like that.
Laws are slanted for the Asians, and laws are colored for the blacks. I'm just being semantic.
Okay. Yeah.
Slanted. Like the eyes, okay.
Yeah. I just thought I'd throw that in. But the thing about the going to rally as a result of discrimination, wanting to empower themselves, I relate to that because I've felt the same things through my life. I'm not exactly white, so
Not
I'm
100% pure white bread here?
not exactly black either. But it kind of puts me in a position to be able to see all sides. And
Yeah.
although my point is not to dwell on the separations and on the differences.
Right.
When I say we should trick them into getting there all together, maybe they open up their eyes and see that they're having the same basic philosophy. Or I divide up according to race, and there's no women there. You won't see me at a big group thing
It's all
like
men,
that.
yeah. That was
2 million men without any women.
I think there were some women there. Weren't there?
I
In
don't
drag,
A
maybe.
few of them, maybe, but I think it was, majority. That's another thing. Well,
Well,
so many men, just it was like all men. It was a call to
Well, we
black
have...
men to be
Very
more
masculine
responsible.
thing, and most of us heterosexual men.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah, I would think it was
To
probably
be
largely
more
heterosexual.
responsible and just, I don't know, try to
Is this
solve
another...
some of the problems.
Yeah.
That they got. I mean,
Is this another
must be
division?
devastating. Having so many young black men die like that in the street. Just what
For
kind
me,
of effect is that?
especially.
And also to have
Not
somebody in
just for
prison.
black people. Why should black people be so totally devastated? A human's a human. If there's any problem,
I know, but we tend to say, oh, that's there.
That's their culture.
yeah,
That's
it's
a different
them.
neighborhood.
It's them,
Yeah.
not us. Yes.
But-
This is the
but
big
it's-
one, isn't it?
It's very
But it's
easy.
wrong,
to,
yeah,
it's
but
very
it's
easy
like-
to start thinking like that.
Starting to think it's them, not us, and then that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's all us.
Yeah, it's
How
all
about
us
that?
because we're together. We're right there.
Hey, I wonder about that assumption that I thought that the Promise Keepers were all going to be white, or at least 90-something%.
I don't know. I think it's probably correct that the great majority of them are white.
I
That's
doubt
my
that you
sense
get
of it.
very many Chinese or Japanese in there.
Yeah, why not? Well, it's a Christian religion thing.
Yeah, that too. Okay, so most
Christian
Christians, you do
Most
have a
Christians
lot
are
of.
whites. Well, not all of them, though.
do
I
have a
bet you
lot of
find some blacks in
Christians
there. I bet you find some blacks in the Promise Keepers. I bet you do.
This country has the most percentage of black Christians.
But even to have this discussion in these terms is uncomfortable for me. Why are we even thinking about black and white?
Oh, okay. So you
don't
want
know,
to go back to the issue of
Say.
the family structure.
It's
reinforcement.
family values.
Okay.
Let's talk family values, whether it's
That's
white, purple, whatever
important
color.
for children.
Children need parents.
I have some radical
Yeah.
views on that, which I
Follow,
like
yeah.
to see people follow. Raising children in communities,
Yes.
which don't necessarily have to do with family connections. In other words, I don't, well, I hate to go on record about this, but I will because I like the truth.
Thank you.
I don't only prefer to have my child be under the influence of family members. Because it's always like, and this comes out in a lot of jokes, that you prefer not to be with your family members. It's almost like you gotta accept them just because they're family. For me, it's like, I will accept them, but then on the other hand, I'm going to stimulate other relationships. Other people can come in and influence my child. Why not? You're not related to me genetically, at least not. We can go back maybe 100
No, don't.
somehow, but aside from that, we're not related.
No.
But you can, if you're around here, you can influence my child.
Right.
Communities, raising children
I think it's a good idea.
can work.
What do you think?
Why put all the pressure on just the two?
It's too much nowadays. Also,
Oh, like what Hillary Clinton has to say. It
Every
takes a
village.
village. Takes a village to raise a family.
takes a village to raise a child. Yeah.
Okay, I can agree with that, but let's not get into the Clintons, unless you have an agenda with them.
We'll give them to Rush.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, and then we'll deal with Rush.
Rush will take on the.
I just secretly gave him a couple $1 million in campaign contributions.
But you can't tell anybody about that.
Did you?
Oh, damn, I forgot. Yeah, I kind of slipped it in the Oval Office,
You slipped in the back door.
Yeah. There you go, man.
Is there a
And,
videotape?
So you're a Buddhist, huh? I'm missing something here. I have a feeling some news just came out that I wasn't.
There's a
following.
videotape there.
A videotape.
Well, there's more than one. I suspect.
Oh, yeah, of him refusing.
Oh, yeah, he's a good
certain,
guy.
Certain cash contributions.
Oh, we don't take checks here. See us later.
The other room.
You have to go to see somebody over there. I can't take the check. Well, I mean, it's kind of facetious in a way. It's like, we know they took the check. It's just a question of when and where they took it. It's like, oh, come on, you're splitting hairs here.
You're not supposed to do it in the Oval Office.
And not when the camera's on.
Yeah. That's a big thing, yeah. That's
We
a
don't
big
take
thing.
checks when the camera's on.
Yeah. That's basics, I guess. I guess he's smart enough to know that.
He's smart. It's kind of silly because we all know money and politics are all wrapped up. It's the same ball of wax.
Yeah. They have to be corrupt, man. Politicians. They can't tell the. What would happen if they told the truth? Like.
Yeah, why don't the politicians tell the truth?
If a politician
Because
told
it's
the truth, they'd be assassinated within a few moments. Because the other politicians will not put up with it.
They,
When literally
Well,
they
how
come
about
out,
this? Can we start a
they'll just
movement for politicians who tell the truth and have a big march for them?
It ain't going well in this country because there's too much comedy tied up with the way it is. That's
Promise
America.
Keepers, truth tellers. There you go. Truth tellers march.
Truth tellers, Mark.
You get like nobody coming to that one.
What?
Nobody.
I don't know.
I think I want
shouldn't
to start a
say.
truth
I think we'll
tellers
have,
march.
I
Let's
think
have
we'll
a
have
truth tellers
Gordon
march.
Benny there. We could all go.
Yeah,
there.
we can all go
Truth
there.
tellers.
We're truth tellers.
I'm
Be
definitely.
fun.
I stand for the truth.
Yeah, I do too.
I'll go on camera on anything.
And do you stand corrected when you're wrong?
Yeah, go ahead and try me out right now.
Have you ever been wrong?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
I mean specifically. Specifically.
Well, then help me out here. When have you been wrong?
Hold on, let me get a pen.
Let me count the ways.
No.
I'm filled with wrongness and mistakes, and I don't try to hide that. And I also probably have some corruption that I've
Everyone
gotten
has.
into, and I'm not embarrassed by it at all. But
Seek
I
the
think
truth,
that
the truth
it's
shall
not only
set you free.
embarrassment that they want to hide the corruption. The damn corruption is because they want to continue it, that they don't admit to
You
it.
sound angry, friend.
No, I'm not. I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay.
that this is how to get to the bottom of it. I'm not too sure whether it's ever going to happen because sometimes people get angry enough at the corruption and the higher ups, and they start a revolution, kill as many as they can. But what they replace it with is just another form of corruption.
Evolution, not revolution.
Evolution,
Yeah.
not revolution.
Evolution.
It's like almost impossible. How can you take the corruption out of it?
Speak the truth. That's what Jerry Brown said.
Well,
Speak
And then you
truth.
get like smothered and battered and beaten, and just like nobody wants to hear you. I don't know. Like, how can you get elected without lying?
It seems almost like the nature.
In this system, it's
In this system, it's
Nature of
this
the
country's too
system
big. This country's too big.
is that you have to please
Full of
everybody.
liars.
You have to say, I can't tell this group what I really think because if I do, then this group's not going to vote for me. If I tell this group what I really think, then this group's not going to vote for me.
Yeah.
So I really can't tell you what I'm thinking. I'll just tell you what you all want to hear. How's
I
that?
can tell you what most of you want me to hear.
Yeah, I'll figure out what most of you want me to hear,
Take
and
polls.
I'll say that. I mean, why doesn't Bernie Sanders come out and say insurance is evil like I have? I didn't get any points for it. Insurance company, but it's evil. It's anti-community. It's anti-family. It's anti-caring about human beings. It's like you go bleeding
What
into the
is-
emergency. You go into the emergency room bleeding, and they go, "What's your insurance number?" It's like, what is wrong with this picture?
oh, you're getting
I don't know.
healthcare.
Or even not even
think-
healthcare.
well-
You have an accident on the road with your car. What do? You don't give a hoot about the person you just hit. You go, "What's your insurance number?" It's like, this is so callous. This is so cold. This is
I
so
did
wrong.
have a situation like that. I immediately cared for the person that crashed into us.
Well, it's good if you do. I mean, I encourage people to care.
I'm not bragging, but
But
it does happen.
The formal way you're supposed to deal with it is, call the police, get the insurance numbers, and do this stuff. You don't really talk with the people. The insurance companies talk to each other.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the job of the ambulance crew.
We don't talk
When
to
they-
you.
when they arrive a couple minutes later.
From an
They'll deal
esoteric
with that.
spiritual perspective, if you have an accident with somebody, there's something going on between you, right?
Yeah.
which you're not dealing with by
that's a whole
handing
can of
insurance
worms.
numbers to each other.
You just dealing with the money.
You just deal with the
aspects.
money. You say, well, we have a problem here, but we're not going to deal with it. We're just going to exchange money, and then it'll be okay.
And you're both trying to get the upper hand, like, oh, it was your fault. It was your fault. Oh, did you see
My
me
lawyer's
coming?
better than your lawyer. My lawyer's going to whip your butt.
I think the whole corruption, though,
That's what insurance is about. It's evil.
Okay, two lawyers.
I think the corruption in politics comes from the separation of religion and state. A lot of people harken back to that. Do you know that comes from Roger Williams, the guy who founded Providence, who said that we need to establish a system with a separation of religion and state. So we get religion over here, state over here, because then, when you separate those two things, whose religion tends to try to be more righteous and less corrupt, and then the politicians go, I know that they aren't either. That's what.
Why
So
does-
that's what I'm saying. Religion and government often is just the same thing. They have the same kind of corruption that goes on. There's been many books coming out about the Vatican now, and the Pope is making these raw deals. And
The payoff,
what kind of
from government's perspective, the payoff
creating money out
was,
of
we will
nothing?
not tax you, and you don't challenge us, our authority. So, the political segment, the government said to the religion, we will let you have tax-exempt status, and you can say whatever you want, but don't challenge us. And it doesn't. Religion doesn't really take on government in this country.
No, that's a good thing, though, I think.
well,
I think it's a progress. I think they learned from their mistakes in the past. Maybe religion just getting too much in the way.
But they both
They
are
want to make a new start over here.
They both are subservient to the economy.
Like to like,
They both want money. That's their thing. You go to church now. What do they want? They want money. What's the government want? Money. Everybody wants money. Money's the real religion.
Yeah, money's the religion.
yeah,
Money's the
It's-
god of religion.
it's
and,
too big to-
government now.
overcome. Yeah, it overshadows it. Yeah.
Whether you're in religion or whether you're in government, it isn't really important. It's money that's important. I mean, when it comes down to it, let's be honest. You're talking about paying the rent. You're talking about getting to work because you have to sell stuff so you can make money.
Yeah.
And right?
So it comes back to the
Yeah.
radical view of if you live in community, you can save money.
Well, that's a radical view. I like
I
that.
like to
And you
go-
can raise your kids better because they have more than two parental figures.
Yeah, you can share resources, and the way the system is, if you buy in bulk, you can get a discount price.
Or if you
that
just
really
share
saves a
physical
lot- saves a lot
resources in
of
terms
money.
of houses and televisions and whatever you've got.
Take for example the way the Amish live. It's kind of a community. When someone needs a barn,
They
oh,
got
I need a
build
barn. I need a barn for all this hay, and I got like 50 horses and 40 cows. All right, I think we can all come over next month, and then they get like 40 or 50 guys and all their families come over. They
Raise
build
the
the
barn.
barn in one day.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a big money saver right there. You get all your labor, and then the other guy's like, hey,
But
I
they
need
don't
a
have
barn
insurance
for
on
next
it.
year, and that guy comes over and says, yeah, thanks a lot.
Like the insurance
They
issue.
don't need insurance. They've got each other.
Yeah,
Well,
If the barn burns down, they'll all get together and build a guy another barn.
yeah, they're with each other.
You see? What insurance has done is put us all in our own little corners, and you got your number, and I got mine. I don't need you, and I don't care about you. All I want is the money.
I got my protection.
I got my contract. Insurance contract will save me in case anything happens to me. I don't need people.
I've got no insurance whatsoever.
You got people.
I do have insurance, spiritual kind.
Well, I'm in the same boat. I don't have any. Yeah. I haven't for a number of years now. About
So how do you go?
3.5 years. Yeah. Since
Great,
I
you're
graduated
still-
college.
You're still surviving, and you.
Oh, I'm living much better than I did before.
And
Much more healthy, anyways.
what do you count
Healthily
for
or
your?
healthy? I don't know.
They work.
Much more healthy manner. Yeah. What do I account for? Just being older and not as stupid. Not doing as many stupid things to my body.
Okay,
Like, just abusing it, whatever, through and,
that's wise.
That's
That's wise.
substances.
Keep you off the insurance.
Yeah, I really haven't needed it. I get exercise, just
Happiness.
get outside every day.
Being a good
Pretty much.
person.
Yeah, that's a lot of it right there. Really is.
And
Yeah.
then we have a favor to that, right? God favors us, gives us a good life.
It rains on the good and
Oh.
the wicked at the
Just-
same time. So.
I heard about that guy. That's the evil one said to God that, oh, here's your good man here. I bet you, he ain't gonna believe in you if he goes through some trouble. And God said, go ahead and I'll let you do whatever you want. So the evil one gives him problems to the man. What was his name? Was that Job?
Job, yeah.
And then he had problems, and he's just all like a mess. And he can't have his real life. He's just suffering, and then he still believes in God. And I don't believe in God just because I'm favored.
Well, there's some people who try and do everything right and they have all kinds of problems, and there are other people who don't give a hoot about doing what's right and they don't have problems. So go figure.
Well, they know it's right to them. Maybe it's not right to other people around them. But it feels good to them. That's kind of the way I feel about things. I trust myself. I'm like, maybe this person I think is right, but it feels good to me. And
Well, if it works for you, it's not best for me.
but it's within reason. I'm not going out there maiming anybody or doing anything drastic.
You're not,
But
jumping off a cliff or anything.
no, nothing crazy like that.
But you are selling vacations.
I'm selling vacations. I sold 7 more tonight.
All right.
I booked 7 more. Whether they actually
Where are they
sell or
going?
not, oh, geez, they have a choice. They have a choice of Bahamas. They can go to Orlando, Florida. They can go to Hawaii. They can
Life
go
is
to
a vacation.
Mexico. Life is a vacation.
Life's the beach. Did you ever say that on the phone?
You should go to life is a vacation. When have you had your last vacation?
Forget about that job you have. That stressful 9
You
to 5
need a vacation.
rat race that you're living in. Forget about it.
Now, what's your visa?
Free airlines, I guess.
Is that what you
Oh no, I don't.
You don't
No,
do
we don't
visa?
ask for any visa numbers over the phone or anything.
You just
No, we get them to go to a presentation, and then if they want to go after that, then we don't do anything over the phone because
You know,
that's just not normal.
I was in
Music.
in a position to do sales once over the phone, or actually in person, for fire detectors. They were heat detectors.
Oh,
And
okay.
the scam was this. I mean, they wanted us to sell people on a heat detector for every room of their house, and then one smoke detector as well, thrown in free on the deal or something, right? So it was $100 for each one of these units. So you spend $700-800 for your house, right? And I did some research. I went to the library. Oh, forgive me for doing research. I went to the library and I found out that heat detectors really don't work because by the time the heat gets to them, you're dead. The smoke kills you. So the smoke detector is what saves your life. So we were putting each of these heat detectors in every room, and the smoke detector is the one that really saves your life, right? We were throwing that in on the deal.
And that's what you're in for free.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose
And
it's
smoke
free.
detectors cost $25, and heat detectors are $100 a piece. Okay, so I'm like, I take this evidence into the guy who's teaching us how to sell this stuff, right? And I showed this. He was not amused. He was not amused. He kicked me out of there, but not until after I had ruined it for everyone.
Wow. So he wanted to perpetuate a lie.
Yeah, basically.
Very corrupt.
I mean, and I asked another salesman, a friend of mine, I said, is all sales, I'll ask you, since you're in sales, is sales necessarily deceptive?
Necessarily, is it like inherently deceptive?
Inherently deceptive.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
especially over the phone. Yeah, there is a little. See, it's not like deceptive. It's like we don't necessarily tell all the truth.
that's the essence
over
of
the phone.
deceptive.
It's not like we lie. We just don't like tell the whole story. Because like if you tell the whole story,
You wouldn't make the sale.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the question behind my head is, what do you need to tell someone?
You tell them what they want to hear.
Maybe
The
you
biggest
have an
problem with our
expectation.
society is everyone's telling everyone what they want to hear.
I know it's kind of corrupt, but you know,
Yeah.
I know it's you know kind of a little bit. It's not like really like corrupt. Like,
Well, it's not like you're a
illegal,
criminal or anything.
But like
This is all legal here.
it's all legal. I know.
Deception is legal.
But hey, it's the situation I'm in at the moment, you know, and I need.
You got to have the money
Exactly.
to live. I understand. I'm not getting
Exactly,
I'm
yeah.
not ball chomping you here. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I've had the same type of thoughts, but then like it
You
always
quickly
gets
start
overwhelming. Once you get hungry, it's like it's suppressive.
I need some food.
You tend to just like I'm just doing it for
I'm
a
just
while.
doing what I need to do to get by.
I'm hungry.
Everybody's got to get
I gotta
by.
pay the rent.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like hurt.
We got a long list of rationalizations here.
Yeah.
Humanity has a lot more dignity than it does.
But I mean, if you went to your inner nature, your core self, and you ask yourself, what should I be doing with my life? Would you come up with the answer? What you're doing?
No.
No. You wouldn't. Okay.
No.
That's my point.
No, I wouldn't. That's
What would you
sure.
come up with? I mean, what kind of answer would you have?
And now we're going to get into the ideal fantasy.
The
world.
ideal.
What would you be doing?
In the ideal
with your
world,
life?
what would you be doing with yourself?
In the ideal world, what would I be doing with myself? I'd probably be an actor. Sounds kind of. I know it came from left field to you, but like I did it in college. I've done some acting in Vermont, and I love to act. I love to be. You know, it comes very easily. I like being up there.
Can you improvise? Like if we gave you a character,
Give
can
you
you do it right now?
a broom and a.
Give me a
a stick.
character. Give me a character.
A broom and a stick, a witch.
Can you be a witch?
No, I tell some people that, and they're like, oh, like I tell like I was in Europe, and I was so like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I like to act. It's like, oh, you're acting right now. Like, oh, you bullshit me right now? No, I'm not bullshitting. I'm
Oh,
telling you,
really?
I like to act. No, I don't. Hey, I mean, some people like to be lawyers.
Not bullshit. Acting's not bullshit. Acting's real.
Yeah,
It'll
acting
be.
is real. You're acting like somebody else. You're like,
You're putting yourself into the.
yeah, and some people are built for it.
I know.
Some
I'm
people
an
are built
actor.
for it.
Oh, yeah. You're always acting like you.
Ha! Fooled you.
How are you really? You're acting like
He's a
someone else.
genius, man. He's a genius.
Yeah, he does.
I'm just acting like an average guy. That's my act.
You're acting like an interview up here.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Acting is great fun.
It's a lot of fun. If you can get paid for it too, that's equally
Ooh,
fun.
there
I don't
are
know.
people-
Being deceptive.
There are people who get paid. But no, acting's not necessarily deceptive. I differ with you.
I think it totally is. I think Hollywood is built on the foundation
Acting is real.
of deceiving people.
Well, that's just a
Well,
big
maybe
screen.
Hollywood is.
That's just a big. Most of
Acting
it.
is not real because people go in, they want to fantasize, they look at the screen, and there's an actor. Okay, we know that this is a popular actor. Today, he's playing someone righteous, a lawyer that blows the whistle and puts people in jail who are evil. Hello, let's go to his home. Here he's lavishing on his latest $1 million from that role. He's not going out blowing the whistle on anybody. Come on, Hollywood's built on deception. You know, and that's why I
I'm
like to
back
go
in
on
my
film.
box. I'm back in my box. I stand corrected. Hollywood is built.
Hollywood. Yeah, but that's Hollywood, though, man. I mean, guess
It's a
most,
tinsel
most of
town,
acting
it's
is
not-
not. It's
There is more to
community,
acting than
community
Hollywood.
theater. Every community in America, every community in the
Well,
world,
to some
it's like
extent,
small theater going on.
The preacher who gets up on the podium and starts preaching to the congregation is acting.
Yeah. The teacher in front of a
The
classroom.
teacher in front of a classroom, the politician
lawyer.
in front of Congress, the lawyer in the courtroom. Acting is pervasive throughout our lives.
Every day we act.
You get into
I ignore it every day.
Yeah, but do you ever act like something else in a certain situation?
Sure.
Like, yeah, like a certain situation arises, you just act in a certain way. Like sometimes, most of the time you sell, but like sometimes you just act. I don't know. It's like you go in for a job interview.
You act like you're selling something.
Oh, yeah, really? Yeah, that's
You
what
sell
that
yourself.
is,
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
acting,
like,
you know?
you never got fired. You
I'm the
never had
best
any
person for the
problems.
job.
Don't hire me, I'll always stay at this job.
And I'm acting
Yeah.
like the best person for the
Yeah.
job,
Such an
too.
act.
yeah, it's an act.
I hate doing that. I like to come in there, I go, when I wrote on my last application, and probably the reason why I'm not getting hired, I write like, I did this thing, and what was my position? I was slave droned, like reason for leaving. I didn't feel like, doing something like that was demeaning and alienating. And I tell the truth on my applications, and they don't get back to me. Because I'm expected to put on an
We've already established deceit sells, not the truth.
Right, so I'm trying to tell myself.
But wouldn't it be an
myself is
ideal world if you could go and get paid to tell the truth?
Mm.
That would be my thing. If I asked the same question to myself, what would I do?
Some people do that.
I would go out and I'd tell the truth and get paid for it. There you go.
Geraldo Rivera
Ugh.
uncovers the truth. Bill Moyers.
Bill Moyers, now that's better.
Who else?
Bill Moyers.
It's a world of ideas, but also, just stimulating people to think about things like we're doing here. I enjoy this. This is fun.
Can you get paid for doing this?
Why
You've sold
not?
a few tapes by now, I'm sure.
I have. I've sold a few tapes. It's
You make a few pocket cash. You could try harder.
I could try harder. I'll get on television and sell. Buy my tapes.
Down on Church Street, Hey, you're gonna sell them.
Could work.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it could work. Yeah, sure.
Grassroots level. Go knocking door to door. I got this thing.
I got these
Take this
tapes.
tape. I just sat there in this room with these other two guys. We talked. We try to get to the truth. Will you buy the tape? And then they said, well, I don't need anything like that. And you try to sell it to them,
Oh, you have to make the truth palatable. That's more
You tell them
deception.
what they want. You need this tape because I'm on it. I'm telling the truth.
We need to deceive you into buying the truth.
Yeah, that's sad. That's how it is.
That's where comedy comes in. You sell it.
Comedy.
it helps
We're back to
them out.
comedy.
If truth can make people laugh.
Well, how do you make circumcision a comedy?
There's a few comedians, professional comedians, that did that. And I know a few of them actually got rubbed off as a result.
Rubbed off?
Rubbed out.
Rubbed out?
Yeah.
Like rubbed out meaning
We
what?
don't want you here anymore.
Knocked off, rubbed out, etc., etc.
Because they talked about circumcision?
Talked about whatever.
They talked about Lenny Bruce. So.
Was he knocked off?
Oh, I don't know.
I think that he had a few
I think he killed
structural
himself
things,
there.
maybe. Abby Hoffman was kind of a comedian. They say that he didn't go.
Altogether naturally.
Yeah, and so the list goes on. And a lot of this is just kind of
Speculative.
yes, and there's, how can you prove it?
Oh, what's the truth? Will we ever know?
There are devious forces at work that like to cover up the truth.
Is it true? Are
Yeah,
there
that's
devious
true.
forces?
Oh yeah. I think
Are
so.
you one of them?
I must know. I must have some lifetimes of being devious.
No.
Sure, I think we all have that experience that we can think of. If I can imagine it and decide that I don't want to do that, where's that decision coming from? I really have to.
Who are you? Boop, boop.
Timothy Leary says on one of his tapes, take acid or do whatever these psychedelic things, and you can be whoever you want to be. Like in
Acts.
reincarnation. Yeah, acting, exactly. Yeah.
Acting is real.
You moved out to California from the East Coast, took up that West Coast mentality.
Well,
I'm getting tired,
guys.
That's anything else you want
to talk about? Grab my interest.
No, I think Steve's shutting down now.
Steve shut down.
I think that's our
Buy his
cue.
tape.
Our cue.
Buy my tapes.
$29.95.
Discount on special orders of quantities of 10 or more.
2 for 40.
I feel ashamed of looking at the camera and seeing him like that.
Consume more of my tapes. Yes, that's what needs to be done.
If
Just
we get
kidding.
a cut, if we get a cut,
Actually,
split it 3 ways.
oh, okay. So
We
we're
do all
going
the selling.
to sell more tapes. We're going to pollute the environment more, and it's all good.
Well, we're doing it less than anyone else. I mean, we're not,
Oh, okay, we can rationalize it. That's right. We're doing less than they are.
we're not like the arrogant. Big,
You can always rationalize
big,
it. That's a good part.
Hey, I need money to live. The gas station needs money. Everybody needs money. So I'll sell more plastic. Buy more plastic.
Okay,
That's
well,
right, man.
One of my main ideas, if
That's
I
what you
could
think,
close
yeah.
with this, one of my main ideas is to open a forum, a public forum, which would be like this and maybe entertaining to people that come to it. Non-government, of course, it could be broadcast, but not a talk show.
Actually, it's much wiser just to go to my internet site and get it for free.
There, you can do that too. You can always mention that.
Gen.com/solutions.
But we always need to keep in mind that even on that New Civilization Network, they're saying, well, cyberspace is one thing. You can
Right.
really accomplish a lot out there, but it does not substitute or supersede
real
face-to-face,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, so blessings.
Sure.
They're still free and they don't pollute.
Don't pollute.
Amen.
Good for the environment.
Blessings don't pollute.
We hope not. We don't have the evidence for it. Well, some people make like the most ridiculous prayers. We don't know if it's actually not causing problems for someone else.
Yeah, watch what you pray for.
Watch what you pray for.
Each
You
to
just
his
might
own,
get
you
it.
know, it's a big free for all.
Is that what they say? Watch what you ask for.
Oh yeah, I found
So,
out
yeah, yeah.
firsthand, yeah, sure.
What did you pray for that you
In
got?
many cases. I prayed for women and got them, and it doesn't always work. You know, you get to a point where you start like, you know, but you do have those times where you're really focused and pray for something. You get the window of opportunity and it happens.
What is prayer? Is
Prayer?
focus?
Well, my explanation, and to the best of my knowledge, it's basic magic. It's invoking something. You tell your will, and you say, this is it, this is what I want, and then all of a sudden it's there.
Clarification and resolve.
You go to a source, which is either your
You
God
clarify and you
or
resolve. You go,
big God, or
this is what I want.
This is
demons can also answer prayers.
Black
Black magic, they pray for something evil to happen,
Right.
and there's prayer also in that.
So, watch what you pray for.
Sure, I'm a practitioner of white magic, and I always have that protection on me, and I know there's a use in the universe. White magic goes against black magic, then you got the in-between
Oh
magic.
God, it's the dualism.
what's
I
the
don't think there's any way around it.
Oh yeah, there is.
well, I've heard of black magic, but not white magic.
It's all us.
So,
Well, black magic, you hear a lot about black magic because it's like the cliche, you know, it's like when people like to, oh, black magic. But one, black magic implies the other. There's got to be white magic. And it's not implying any racial thing, but black magic is like darkness, like the absence of light, and white magic is that light, because light, if you mix all light together that we can see, and that makes up our energy particles, it's colored white, and God is always equated with light. Not always, I mean, some people think it's twisted, that's black magic.
That's like what you see when you
Let there be light,
go
you know?
yeah.
The sun is our universe. Hey, the
Yeah.
earth would not exist without
Yeah.
the
May
sun.
I share
It's
my
like
view on
light.
God?
Go ahead.
It's inappropriate for me to define God. God defines me, and I define me, and the result is synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Is light involved in that?
I do not define God, so it's wrong. It's not appropriate for me to define God. God defines me. I allow God. I do not define God. I experience God. I can talk about my experience, but it's not a definition. That's where we get into trouble historically, is when you define God one way and you define him another way, and then you start fighting each other saying, my definition's right, no, mine's right, I'm going to kill you, yours is wrong. You know?
Let's go to war. Let's go to
Well, do you
war.
agree with me with that
It's
light
easy
thing there?
to-
I mean,
it's easy to laugh about, but that's how it
That's how you get into it. You get into my definition.
Wars
No,
and
yours is
wars.
right.
Yeah, we can do the same with yours. Whatever
I
you
didn't
say.
define God.
It seems
When
weird
we
in
don't have a
America, but
definition, we can get angry just the same if you don't define
I
God.
suppose you could if you wanted to. Are you angry?
Not me, but I mean, for the sake of like portraying this out in society, I think some people cannot accept that and they'd be against you.
Well, I think what happens is people are insecure fundamentally, and so they start defining God so that they have a source of security outside themselves.
God is within.
But what they haven't done is they haven't owned the responsibility of defining God. And they haven't said, I am the one defining God. And when you put yourself in that situation, it sounds really funny. It's like, who the hell are you to define God?
Your definition of God is a definition.
It wasn't a definition. I said it's inappropriate for me to define God.
So you don't want to define God, huh?
If I said God is love, that would be a definition. If I said God is light, that would be a definition.
just
If I say God is good, that is a definition. I don't do any of that stuff. I used to.
just your relationship with him.
I can speak of my experience of God. I can allow God to exist, and you can tell me your experience, and I can allow that to exist. I don't have to come down hard on you and say, oh, that's not right.
That's
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong here.
Right. It's like, oh, maybe that's just exactly the way it is.
Oh, I think you're right.
You do have a basic definition of God. You do have a starting point.
I allow God as something
God is-
that I don't know about.
God is everything you don't know about.
It's something that I allow to exist that I don't need to know everything about. It's an openness, it's an allowing, rather than a, this is the way it is, and you're going to listen to me, I know the truth, da, da, da. You know, that's the other way of looking at it. It's like, I'm going to hammer this definition into you, and you're going to accept it, and you're going to believe, da, da, da. And that's what religion tends to do. And I say, no, I allow God to exist, and I don't know what God is. And I'm not going to define God. It's inappropriate for me to define God.
But I'll tell you what I'll think of. Yeah.
I'll tell you my experience of
That can
God.
be
yeah.
that can be a solution. Yeah. Okay. It's a good one.
And I find people accept it.
But you gotta be secure with yourself to say that. 'Cause
Yes.
if you're not,
You find certain
people
people.
say like tend to like bring God on their side.
Oh, God's on my side.
Yeah.
We're going to win this war. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go kill those Nazis, you know.
Yeah, we'll take a secure person to say that.
Yeah. That's
What
what
if
we need.
everyone?
Well, that's what we need. We need the security in yourself to say, okay, I don't know, and it's okay that I don't know.
Yeah.
God
and I'm
is
not
always
any
a
less
mystery.
manly.
It's not like I should know either. There's an expectation that you should know.
No can do.
We belong to the earth, not the earth doesn't
Ah.
belong to us.
I say I don't know everything. I don't know everything. That's the starting point. And I can know anything. I can know anything that can be known.
You are capable.
I'm capable of knowing anything that can be known. I don't know everything.
No, pretend to know anything. Know everything.
I don't pretend to know.
Yeah.
Getting back to the whole thing of prayer, I think you're putting in a prayer when you do this. You're praying that for some effect on people to avoid conflict. That's your prayer.
My prayer's for peace, yeah, it's a peace prayer.
I think it's a practice of gray magic. It's that in between kind of, but it is a practice.
Well, it's not like I'm saying you will do this. It's like, no, you do whatever you want. This is where I'm at.
Right.
It's like you can accept this or not. It's your choice. This is where I have chosen to be, a place where I do not define God anymore. I used to, I gave it up. Didn't work.
Can you make
Been
peace
down that
between
road before.
I let go all my definitions. It's like, okay, bye.
Tried them all out. And
Well, actually, my favorite definition was God is truth. I've even let that one go because when I examined it carefully, I found that to be prejudicial as well. Because it says God is not also falsehood, or God is not also deception. It's like, well, who the heck am I to say that God is not deception? And what a head trip for me to play on God.
yeah.
One day you might
Play
wake
on
up,
God, yeah.
and God's talking to you, and then
I says, don't play that head trip on me.
You sit
I
over
don't
in
do
the chair.
that.
Why are you playing a head trip on me? You sit over there. I like that.
Stop that.
Give me a complex over here. What are you doing over there, man?
But that's what we do with religion oftentimes. We play head trips on each other.
Do we have any effect at all on God? You don't know. So if I ask you any question about God, you don't know at all.
I'll ask you, what do you think?
You're not going to take your opinion.
Well, I would say this.
Oh, you can ask me.
Yeah, I'll ask you. I say, what do you think?
Why would you ask me? You don't want to know anything about God from me.
Don't tell me what I don't want to know. That's not your place to tell me what I don't want to know.
All right, I'll tell you about God.
Excuse me,
Right,
I can change
right,
my
right,
mind any second I want. All of a sudden, I want to know.
All right, what's the question? Is God affected by anything that we do?
Yeah, what do you think?
What do I think? What about you?
Well, you asked the question.
I
You
can
answer
answer my
your
own question. All right, what do I think about that?
You must have some idea on it. You had the fortitude to formulate the question.
Depends on what level of God. I think the penultimate God is not affected at all by anything that we do. It's inconsequential. Even if the whole Earth would just be destroyed somehow.
Gone.
Like a meteor.
Big nuclear weapon
If
goes boom.
it suddenly came out of orbit and crashed into the sun, or if it went out into very cold.
Or the sun went supernova and it goes crispy critters on Earth.
Yeah, the penultimate God that created the universe, no effect. None whatsoever. Except for the fact that it happened, and big deal.
Things happen. In the universe, it happens all the time.
Things happen.
They're like just out in that
Well,
direction
another
there.
planet destroyed.
Millions and millions of suns just
Oh,
going
well.
up over there. Oh well.
Well, there is something in
But the God, there's different levels of God.
See, I can experience God in love relationships really easily. My experience of God comes from an understanding of how love comes to me in my life and through people.
The God and
That's one way I can experience God. Another way is just by walking in nature and just being one with nature.
okay,
So I mean,
the different sides of God, right?
these are experiences.
Are they the same God?
These are experiences that I've had and how I can relate to God in my own life is through love relationships, getting really close with somebody and feeling that flow back and forth. And who knows how to put words on it, but you know what I'm talking about? The magic of love. that's a godly experience, a divine experience.
A gift of God, yeah.
Yeah, it's a gift. I accept it. It's wonderful, and I can also experience it even with people I'm not having like really intimate feelings for, but just people that just happen to be in a certain place at a certain time, and it's synchronistic. It's just like, whoa, that was just right on. Message from God kind of thing.
Yeah, on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it just so happens, you know.
So the love relationship experience is how you view God. Then.
Well, no, that's
God,
not a
love.
definition. That's not a definition. It's an experience. It's an internal, personal experience. I'm not putting that out for you as a definition of what God is. I'm talking about my experience of God. It's a very fine distinction there. You understand?
Oh, okay. I think.
And this is when I meet a Christian who says, you know, you got to have Jesus as your personal savior. Da 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 da. I want to convince you. Da da da. This is what I ask them. I said, well, what is your experience of Jesus? I want to know your experience. And this moves them in a transcendental direction. It's like, I'm no longer here to preach dogma. I'm now here to talk experience. Oh, I've never done this before. You know, he's actually interested in my experience of Jesus Christ. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
He's just not
Let's start a church.
overwhelmed by me, yeah.
It's just a big forum, you know.
Well, it is good that when you get to people's experiences, then it's something you can say, I understand. I had a similar experience once. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And it isn't so much about the words, like Jesus Christ or whatever, Buddha, whatever. It isn't so much about the words, it's about the experience.
The individual experience.
Because I can relate to your experience probably, and you can relate to mine. Because our experience is probably more similar than we know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. I gotta try that on someone next time.
Try it sometime. If you
Yeah.
can get them out of dogma and into their experience.
Because I just probably expect you to just either just not want to even talk to them, or just walk the other way, or they expect you to
Resist.
follow them.
Resist
or
or accept.
Yeah.
In other words, they're into this dualistic
And not
notion that you
ask
have to resist or accept.
questions. Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to do either. I can listen to you and absorb
Yeah.
information.
We're just gonna get set then for tomorrow.
Challenge them.
Go out on the street. People that we have never seen before.
and ask them, why be humble?
There's another one. Yeah, there's another one.
Humility.
And if they say, "Get out of my face," all right. And if they say, "Well," they may start talking. It's worth a chance.
I think we should do it.
Did you go down on the waterfront today?
No, we didn't. I fell asleep and I went to stay asleep.
We
So.
didn't do it.
Sleep rules.
Yeah,
Sleep ruled
Steve.
today,
Well,
huh?
10 minutes ago we said we were going to stop.
Let's stop it.
We kept
Peace,
going.
love, harmony.